Bro,
Yo,
you're muted.
you're muted.
It's good.
All right, my bad. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now, bro.
Yeah, all good, bro.
All right. So, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another Sunday breakdown. So I'm going to be breaking down gold and GJ, so you guys could kind of get a little bit maybe of a cleaner outlook, or kind of get a perspective of what I'm looking at for the rest of this week. So GJ overall did kind of play out how I expected it to play out, where we would see a bounce off of this previous area that we have here on this weekly time frame, where we have this major area of resistance, call it 158 almost, where we saw price pretty much reject resistance multiple times, then break above, and now previous resistance is holding as newfound support. So when it comes to last week, this isn't really a very strong weekly candlestick that I could say with confidence, yes, we'll definitely continue to push up into the 165 range, which is our kind of weekly high over here again. But more so, if you pay attention to this actual weekly candlestick itself, notice how price tried pushing back above the previous week's high, but completely failed and ended up closing kind of near the bottom. So it is a pretty weak bullish candlestick. So we definitely can expect price to actually come back down and retest 157,700 again, or retest this 158 area. That is definitely like in the realms of possibilities of what could happen with price action over the next few hours. You go down to the daily time frame and you see that there isn't a lot of momentum to the upside currently. I mean, it's Sunday Asian session, so we definitely want to wait for Sunday London session, but you also have to keep in mind this is an area of support that price is currently trading at on the daily, which definitely could hold as resistance. That is also a huge possibility. Now that the moving averages have also crossed as well, we definitely could see price come back down for another retest of 158, and then we'll kind of have to wait and see what price does there. Because obviously there's only going to be two options. Price either going to bounce back above, or price either going to break under and continue to go down. There's only really two possibilities on direction of price. So we really have to kind of just wait and see how price is going to play out over the next few hours. You guys could look for a short position tonight. I just wouldn't put any major risk behind it. And I'd be very cautious looking to short if price were to break above that 4-hour high there. So as long as price can kind of maintain under this 4-hour high, then you could definitely look for price to go short back into 158, where as you could see, is our previous 4-hour level of support. So you could kind of like box price off from the highs to the lows, and you could look to trade in between these two ranges. If price were to break anywhere under the lows, then price will most likely continue to go down. Once price starts to break above the highs, then most likely price is going to continue to go up to the next level, which is way up here, which is 161,500, kind of, let's call it there. So that's what I would kind of wait for on GJ. I mean, there's multiple ways you could take this. As of right now, again, the best thing for you to do is just sit on your hands and wait for London session to see what price does, because by London session, you could see price, literally pull something like this, and then we'd be looking to sell. So you kind of want to wait those next few hours to see how these next 4-hour candlesticks are going to form, and then make a better decision on where price could potentially travel to. But you can keep that overall general kind of direction in mind. So just keep in mind that, price is at a previous level of daily support and could reject and go down, especially that price right now in terms of like bullish momentum. There isn't a lot of bullish momentum. So the best thing to do in this situation is simply just kind of wait and see what happens. And again, if price were to reject resistance, then you can expect price to come back down to support. If price breaks resistance, you can go and expect price to pull back into the next area of resistance, or push up into the next area of resistance, which would be 161,500. Now, when it comes to gold, so gold is still kind of actually pumping up. So one thing that we had spoke about in the last webinar is if we were to see price break above 1833, which is a level of resistance, call it 1834, right? You look for the break, and if you're going to look to buy, wait for the retest, and then you could look to buy from that point on. As you guys could kind of see right here, you have the initial break, and then here you have the retest of price retesting 1833, which is a previous level of resistance and a previous area of support. So you definitely could have looking to take a trade off of that area there, based off like a 30-minute time frame, based off an hour time frame. However you want to take it, ultimately would be you as a trader, right? But now when it comes to gold, if we look at the weekly time frame, we could definitely see gold actually pump up into 1865 for sure, which is another area where I would actually look to go short. So one thing that I had talked about again in the last webinar is if we see a break above 1833, then we can look for price to go into 1865 before looking to go short with this kind of daily trend. And I want to make sure this daily trend is still valid, which yes, it is. If we look at the highs and the lows of the daily trend, we have the high there, we have a low here, we have a lower low here. So pretty much anywhere in between this range, we could potentially see a lower high be formed, but I really wouldn't be looking to sell gold anymore if price were to start breaking above 1865, because then that just makes this pullback be a lot steeper than what I would expect it to be for a very strong and healthy, in quotations, healthy bearish trend. So I really wouldn't look to continue to go short if price were to break above 1865. And again, it's just the higher and higher price trades into the price range, you know, how strong is that bearish trend really? So as long as price can maintain under that 1865 area, I'll continue to look for it to go short, which again, the next area, you know, if price rejects 1865, then we'll look for price to come down into 1833 again. If price breaks 1833, we'll look for it to come down into its lows, which is call it 1700, right? 1790, let's call it. And if price were to break those lows, you know, you look for the next area of support or the next area of resistance. It just ultimately depends on the trend. But basing price off of this weekly time frame, we definitely could see price continue to go up into 1865, where we'll then look for that rejection, then look for price to go short from that point on. Because again, like all the principles are the same. If price breaks under a level of support or breaks under a level of resistance, and just wait for price to retest that area before looking to continue on the actual trend. Then you could go down to the 4-hour time frame, and how I would take that trade based off this 4-hour time frame is first, because it is a level that I base it off of the daily and the weekly time frame, I would look for a daily rejection. So I would look for a bullish candlestick to kind of come up to that level of resistance, and then I will look for a big rejection with a big wick, maybe something like you could see over here or kind of over here. As long as price, we see multiple rejections to that area, then we can continue to look to go short. And I'm not going to expect price to kind of just reject it and immediately drop. I'll probably expect some consolidation, and then we may potentially see the drop with the following week ahead, because again, like it's all about timing. So for example, right, let's see. So price over here, when it first rejected 1865, notice how on this weekly candlestick, price pumped up into 1865, consolidated around 1865. Then when the next week opened up, buyers tried pushing price higher, but then that's when we saw the first drop. Then we saw a huge drop on the following week. So I wouldn't get any FOMO or anything, or I wouldn't be too anxious on missing out on the move, because again, like this is a weekly area of resistance. So the weekly candlesticks are supposed to be the ones to look for that rejection. Well, that would be the time frame that you look for those rejections on. And the concept goes the same on the hour time frame, right? You're not just going to take a buy or sell immediately right off of a level of support or resistance just because the candlestick got to that level. You want to wait for the first candlestick to actually form. Then the second candlestick would be the rejection candlestick, which you'll see price move away from that area, whichever, you know, support or resistance level you're actually trading. So that's kind of what I would wait for now. So I mean, in the meantime, you could continue to look to potentially buy with this intraday time frame. Just know, like, I wouldn't really be too greedy with these buys, just because again, right, the overall trend on the daily time frame is still bearish. And a concern of mine on buying when a daily trend is bearish is that the trend could flip on you at any point in time if you're counter trend trading. So you know, the trend could continue, and then you could potentially get stopped out of a position because you're being too greedy, and that's something I've experienced in the past. So when it comes to like these intraday trends, right, I don't really like to hold positions for too long. For example, right, if I would have taken this buy position here on this hour time frame, gotten maybe in, I don't know, let's call it right here, I would have looked to gotten out somewhere at these highs over here, not really look to hold that trade for a long period of time, just because price can hit these highs and then completely continue in the same direction of the trend. So I'd be a little bit more cautious if you're going to be looking to buy. If you are looking to buy though, at this point in time, you know, if you're going to be trading based off the hour time frame, you have resistance here, wait for the break above resistance, wait for the retest, look for price to go into 1865. That's what you could wait for. If you're going to be looking to trade based off the 4-hour time frame, then, you know, you could also wait for a pullback into 1833 and then a move up into 1865. Ultimately, it kind of just depends on how price plays out over the next few hours. If price actually does make higher highs on the hour time frame, like it looks like it might, where it breaks above these highs, makes new highs, and then pulls back into this area, I'd be very concerned to buy at 1833 again, just because that is a huge pullback for price to actually do if it's in a, you know, a real strong bullish condition. Then you have to keep in mind what the daily time frame actually looks like. So if price pulls back all the way down to here on the daily time frame, that's going to be a huge engulfing candlestick, which it just looks like it could potentially continue the trend. And although, you know, looking left, this isn't the strongest area of resistance, I don't want to call it, compared to this one over here, or a more major area, because you could just kind of bump it up to the weekly time frame and just see kind of like these are just wicks where price attempted to push higher. It's an area where you could definitely see the trend kind of continue. Ultimately, it all depends on how the next few hours plays out, but we're just gonna have to wait and see, you know, how price and momentum holds up in terms of like the smaller time frame bullish trends. Now, does anybody have any questions or anything they would like me to go over?
Yep. Yeah, so Raul, so I was analyzing gold Friday, right? But if you pull up your TDI and go on 1 hour time frame, you could see a hidden bullet bearish divergence. Would you say that valid?
I wouldn't really pay attention to be honest. You want to pay attention to market structure and price action.
Okay. All right.
That's just,
thank you.
That's just me personally. If you look for like divergence and stuff like that, and that's how you like to trade, then
yeah,
there is divergence there. And, you know,
I mean, it working a lot for me lately, because that's why I asked you, you know?
yeah. I mean, personally, that's not something that I would, you know, pay attention to. I'm more, because at the end of the day, an indicator is just an indicator. I look at price action, you know?
Right. I mean, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, it's funny you mentioned that gold buy, because I literally, my position just hit TP right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it just hit, I got a 2-to-1 on that. I got in on that fat wick. I went down to like the 15, and like it was like a bullish engulfing.
Yeah. That's still perfect.
Okay, can you run US 30? A weekly outlook on it as well.
In the weekly time frame, prices just made new lows, so you could expect a pullback like on the weekly. You look at the daily, and it's kind of pulling back up into this previous daily level of structure, which is your previous daily low. 4 hour time frame, I'd be kind of concerned to continue to look for sells. I'd probably start looking for buys if price does break above this area over here. That's kind of what I would look for. Then I look for price to come into 31,942 if price breaks above 31,600.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else got any other questions? Anything you want me to go over?
Hey,
Hey,
Ro,
Raul.
Yeah.
go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Can you go over GU?
So GU on the weekly is rejecting kind of this weekly area with the gap. I would probably look for GU just basing off the weekly so far to pull back into this area, which is a previous level of resistance. Go down into the daily time frame, and you can see prices starting to close or starting to break above this previous daily level of resistance there too. You look at the 4 hour time frame, you see that there's resistance here. So what I would kind of look for is a break and retest, and then for price to look to go long. So look for price to go up, retest, and then come up into the next highs, which is right here. And then if price breaks above these highs, you look for price to come up into this resistance area over here. So maybe look for something like this.
Okay, thanks, man.
Can you go over Nas real quick?
It's the same thing as S&P 500. If it breaks above this 4 hour highs, I'll look for it to come up into the next highs, which is up here. It's literally the same exact thing.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, especially with like a potential double bottom on the daily. I'll look for it to come back up into these 4 hour highs if it breaks these 4 hour highs.
To keep going down, right? That's the short.
No, that's the buy.
Oh, to buy. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody asked in the chat, can you go UJ?
What do you say?
Somebody want to see UJ.
UJ, so UJ. I mean, UJ, if you look at the daily time frame, right, you have daily support here. You go to the 4-hour time frame, market structure is still pretty bearish. You could see a break in the retest of this area. So I would expect UJ to come back down into this 4-hour area of support for a little continuation and then kind of wait and see what happens there, as long as price can maintain under these highs here. So I would look for UJ to come down into this 4-hour support at 127.200.
Hey, Raul, how
Yo.
do you get your yellow line to stay flat, your support,
What do you mean?
your random line? How do you get it to stay at a 0 angle?
You mean this one? Like if I
Yeah. How do you get it to stay at 0?
press and hold shift when you're drawing it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
One check.
Hey, Raul,
yeah.
can you take a look at S&P 500, please?
What'd you say?
S&P 500?
It's literally the same as US 30. If it breaks these highs, I'll look for it to come up into the next area of resistance, which is pretty much right here. They're
I
all
got you. Appreciate it.
So if it was to break that 4-hour high right now, like let's say if it does it during Asia, would you enter or would you still wait for NY session?
wait for New York session.
Still?
It's like then.
Then what if that shit is like at the 4,000 rate? Would you still look to enter or like retest then enter?
Yes, and then enter. Because then the price is straight up.
I was gonna say too, the level up, it's still coming next week or so.
Yeah, we're just figuring some other stuff out, but I mean, just stay tuned to like the Instagram page. That's when you'll get like the best updates.
Okay, that
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yep. So anybody else have any questions? Anything they want me to go over now that we're here? Or is
Are
everybody-
you looking for, what were you looking for, S&P 500?
Basically, it's the same thing as yours 30, where if price breaks above the highs, I'd expect price to come up into the next highs up here, which is 40.50. It's the concepts are literally all the same in terms of market structure. If you see that there's a resistance area, price is trading here, right? If it breaks under, it's going to keep going lower. If it rejects, it's going to come up into the next area. If it breaks this area, then it'll go up into the next area. And that's how you set your targets. So if you take a buy right here, your stops are going to go under this area and your take profit's going to be this area up here. Vice versa, if price breaks under and you take a sell here, your stops are going to be above here, and then your take profit's going to be the next area. You trade from zone to zone. So if price breaks above this first zone here, it should come up into the next zone. That's how you'll set your target. You could do that relatively on any time frame.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, anything regarding like boot camp or any kind of emails to look out for like DTI members?
I believe my team is going to give DTI members earlier access to get into the boot camp. But in terms of like any other emails, no, but I'll keep you guys updated. I know like the official launch for the boot camp is going to be on Friday.
Okay, I bet. Yeah, because I saw the thing. It said something about this weekend. So that's what I was just curious about.
Yeah, because the boot camp, so all the pre-recorded videos are also going to be on Kajabi. So we had to do a whole other kind of like in quotations course just for the boot camp videos to be put on. So that kind of delayed the entire process. So that should be done like tomorrow.
Okay, bet. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Bro, someone asked in the chat. Let me go back to it real quick. They asked, can someone ask Raul why he doesn't consider 1852 on gold a strong support, strong supply and demand level, and if we could see a rejection to go short on there?
I wouldn't consider it to be as strong as 1865 because if you look at the weekly time frame, the weekly rejected 1834, but price tried pumping higher than 1852. So I wouldn't consider it to be like a major area compared to 1865 because the candles actually closed on 1865 here. Versus if you look at the area that you're referring to, which is 1852, which are these two wicks, those are just rejections of price trying to push higher from 1830 but failed. So I would consider 1865 to be stronger area than 1830, than 1852. Yeah.
I bet I don't know. Someone asked in the chat.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Can you look at AJ?
What pair? Is that AUD JPY?
Yes, please.
So I mean, when it comes to AUD JPY, last week price kind of closed under this area of previous support and resistance. You go to the daily time frame, you have the first rejection here. Price is kind of bearish right now because if you look at this market structure, you have high, you have low, you have lower high, you have lower low, and this could be a potential lower high. So as long as price can kind of maintain under these lows or under these highs here, you look to sell. Right, but once price breaks above, I'll look for it to come up into the next.
Yo, make sure.
So I would continue to look to short. I would wait to actually look to short back down to this area as long as price can maintain kind of under this general zone here.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So like I trade on New York session, right? But I got a question for you. So have it ever been time when you analyze the market and you know exactly what you're looking for, but the trade setup the trade setup that you're looking for happen in agent session? Would you take this trade?
Well, you couldn't trade because the setup already happened.
I mean, like it's about to happen. Like your entry point where you predict that you're gonna enter from.
I probably still would take it, yeah.
Okay, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, definitely. So any other questions?
Yo, I just got here, bro. Can you break down gold and GJ?
Well, I mean, basically what I'm waiting for is for gold to push up into 1865. And if you're going to take any buys, I wouldn't hold buys for too long. GJ, I'm kind of expecting GJ to kind of push down into 158 potentially for a retest. And if price doesn't push down into 158, then I'll look for maybe a break and retest of these highs here for price to go up into 161,500 if price breaks above these highs.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Yeah. Anybody else? Or is everybody good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So at what point do I know if I have the level to increase my risk?
Well, your risk should generally increase over time because if you're risking 2% and your account is compounding, your risk is going to increase regardless. Unless like you're trading like at a fixed lot size, which wouldn't be too beneficial because stop loss is always changing size. But
Okay.
that's like you're talking about going from like a 2% risk to like a 5% risk, and that's a drastic change. That really you're only going to get good out with experiencing that change.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions?
Raul, do you take any look at fundamentals before placing a trade?
Yeah, just to see if there's news for the day that's going to impact my trade. And if there is, I don't trade.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I got a question. What if it is a high impact news and your analysis is bullish, but the high impact moves is good too? Would you still trade?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't trade. It's just not worth the risk to me. Anybody else have any other questions? Or is everybody good to go?
I'm good.
Good?
I'm good.
Good to go, bro.
All right, cool. All right. So